Folks, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show here in Scappoose. Scappoose with...
You can't remember, just call it Nowheresville.
Oh, look!
we're here on the edge. Right over here is Scappoose Bay, part of the Columbia River.
George Walker, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Jake. It's great to be back.
Hey, we just were talking inside, and I want you... We're at a pivotal moment in history, and you were talking about back, I don't know, in the day when Kesey was talking about really what the core, the goal of the hardcore right wing wants is serfdom from old England. I want you to talk about, at the time you didn't, it went way over your head, but now you're seeing it come true. Explain how it's coming true and what can people do to push back against it.
Well, the first thing that I think is to pay attention to what's happening. Look at what they're doing. Don't listen to what they say.
Can you give an example?
Well, yeah, many times a day you hear the president and the people that support him, they're constantly lying about everything. And so, you know, it's just obvious. You don't listen to that crap, what they say is going on, because it's usually something different. Just watch the results, watch and see what's happening. You know, their tax plan is to give what little money is left, give it all to the 1%ers, the richest people, and take everything away. All the programs, they're trying to kill all the programs for the people so that they can monopolize everything and take control. And in the process, they'll reduce us all to, well, it's already happening. One person now can't earn enough money unless he's really fortunate. You can't just go get a regular job, raise your family, raise your kids, send your kids to school, buy a house, buy new cars every few years. Kids could graduate from college not in debt, retire, take vacations, retire at a reasonable age.
People are asking, actually,
and this stuff, they're taking that away. You hear it all the time. What's a living wage? Well, you can't...
What is serfdom? People want to know what that is.
Serfdom. Well, serfdom...
And what did Kesey mean by that?
What he meant was that they wanted to put us in a state of virtual slavery. It isn't like ownership of individuals, but they are so subjugated economically and financially that it's no longer possible for somebody to go out and just earn a living. You know, we're dependent on the largesse of and which is
berserker capitalism.
Yeah, which they're extremely reluctant to show any signs of giving us any largesse. You know, they want to keep us subjugated so where we're desperate all the time. In old England, you know, which is, you know, where we came from essentially, where our laws come from, and the system that our revolution was fought to overthrow, where only the ones that were considered nobility, the lords, owned everything, and the rest of the people were just at their mercy. You know, you'd work for, you know, like sharecropping and things like that. You get a little bit of money, but it was never enough. You get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but you had no real rights. Only the landed people could vote. Only males could vote, and the people were considered a lower class of people.
So let's put it into present day. Present day, you just listed a litany of things. Men could vote. Today, women, there is a huge anguish in the patriarchal sort of system today. They're still trying to hold down women's rights and insult them at all costs. That was one thing you said.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then so how does it serfdom? I mean, obviously you have somebody working 3 jobs, and they can't even make ends meet. They can't see the future. They can't grow.
Right. They're trapped.
They're trapped.
They're economically trapped in a situation that there's no real way out of other than winning the fucking lottery or something.
Right.
You know, the land of...
But yet they're still being fed this thing that you can make it. The American dream is alive.
Yeah, and you can. You know, there are ways to make it. It's possible to escape it.
Outside of corporate America?
No. Well, maybe, there's always a fringe of outlaws that get by, and I've done some of that myself in life because I don't believe in doing everything they tell me to do. But really, if you stay strictly within the laws, and if you're really brilliant, you can go to college, get a good job, and you can make it. But you have to do it within their system. You can't do it. Just go out and do it, and be successful, because the system is now so heavily rigged against us, and they just rigged it a whole lot more against the people.
Right.
With this new tax thing that's going to give what little money is left to the richest people, so that they can exert their will over us. They refuse to raise minimum wage, even though it's already way too low. When I was in college, a student loan was you go to your buddy and say, "Hey man, I'm a little short. Can you loan me $5 so I can go get a 6-pack and take my girlfriend out on a date and have dinner?" That was a student loan. I'll pay you back Tuesday. I'm getting paid money.
Right, that was the loan.
Yeah, that was a student loan. There was no such thing.
You weren't crippled in debt.
There was no such thing as, you didn't have to. When I went to Oregon, the University of Oregon, it cost about $150 a year, maybe $200, maybe $250. I guess about $250 a year for a whole year of college. Then I went to Stanford. I went to Stanford Law School and the Graduate School of Philosophy at Stanford. Boy, that was expensive. That costs almost $1,400.
So expensive.
100, not thousand, $1,400 a year to go to one of the most expensive universities in America. Now it costs, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year to go to a state college. And
the reinforcing principle is that over and over again is about more material, more money you need to accumulate more, because otherwise you can't survive.
Right.
It's not about an education. It's like, where are you going to college? Oh, it's 40 grand a year. I mean, that's the first thing you'd ask.
I had a lot of friends that were not nearly as fortunate as I was. One of my good friends, his dad died in the war. His mother didn't remarry. They were really poor. They lived in virtually a shack. But he made it. He went to university. He graduated. He worked part-time, worked his way through college, came out of college with more money than he started with from his part-time job, paid all of his expenses, helped support his family, and ended up a college graduate not in debt. And he was typical, just one individual. Now, lots of kids did that. I knew lots of kids who came from working class families that didn't have extra money. They couldn't send the kids to do anything. They all did it on their own. They worked part-time jobs. You could go full-time college, a part-time job, and save money, buy a car, buy your clothes, buy your food, and actually save money and not end up in debt. And the difference was the tax structure. In those days, that was in the 50s, the wealthiest people were paying 90% taxes on their income, and they were still the richest people. Everybody got along just fine. The taxes paid for the schools, they paid for the infrastructure, and we lived in a world that was probably the make America great again that Donald Trump likes to allude to. When it was great was when the taxes were 90% on the rich.
Let me ask you, as the rain picks up here,
yeah, we're getting the rain.
For people that are going to watch this in 50 years, I want you to explain to them what your nature is and what you can still contribute to our society.
Well, I've been in it long enough now, as I'm coming up to my 79th birthday in a couple of weeks. So, I've been around long enough to have seen it. And one thing I can contribute is tales of my experience. I've had a wide range of experience in life. I didn't become a wage slave. I was fortunate enough to live in a family that had some money, and I inherited some money, and that made it possible for me to do stuff other than just work all my life. And so I've been around a lot of interesting people. I've heard and seen a lot of wise people that understood stuff. And
so how can you pass that on? Who do you want?
The young people. The people that are still in their 20s and 30s and are out doing stuff and still have most of their lives ahead of them, still have the enthusiasm and the energy for life, and are able to do things, and are still impressionable enough that they're not just being taken for a ride by the guys running stuff.
And you will be your hope is to be on the road and going to different states and talking to, and seeing the young people.
I've been doing this for a couple of years. I have just kind of sat around for a lot of years, just trying to keep things together myself. And then I went out on a couple of tours, and I didn't know how much was going on. There's all these festivals and stuff all the time. Lots of gatherings of young people celebrating music, celebrating life, looking for change from the system that's become such a burden to us. And these people are receptive.
Mm-hmm.
They understand that I was kind of a pioneer in a lot of stuff that went on back in the 60s, and for good or bad, right or wrong, that has earned me some status among the younger people. So they listen to
Some
me.
gravitas.
Yes, gravitas, that's a good term. Gravitas, for those that understand it, means you have a kind of weight.
A heft.
A heft, yeah, it's from gravity. You have heft. What you say is heard, and I'm, for better or worse, right or wrong, I'm at least experiencing some of that, to where people will listen to me. And so my hope is to get around, continue doing this, and telling people, explaining to people, come on, you can't let those bastards grind you down, because they're trying to subjugate us, and don't listen to them. My message is, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do, and see what the results of what they're doing.
Because they're doing a whole lot of damage.
They're doing a lot of damage. And
Philosopher George Walker, further, my friend, thank you for being part of the Jake Feinberg Show, as always.
thank you, Jake. Thank you for giving me a little voice here, providing me some ears to talk to.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, who's that guy over there?
There's Simon Babbs. His dad,
Who's that?
Well, his dad was Ken Babbs, the originator of the Merry Pranksters.
The originator.
Ken Babbs was the originator of the Merry Pranksters in 1964,
We'll leave it at that.
and been a part of it ever since.
Further.
Further,
Thank you.
much further.